Sick and tired of your love-hate relationship with wine?
Welcome to the Feel It Alcohol Free podcast. Hi, I'm Coach Ruby Williams.
And I'm Coach Susan Larkin.
We're two former wine lovers turned alcohol freedom coaches, exposing the lies about alcohol
and giving you, our listeners, the tools to break free so you can feel lit.
And when you're lit, you'll feel healthier, freer, and more in control of your life.
So relax, kick back, and get ready to feel lit alcohol free.
Hello, and welcome back to the Feel It Alcohol Free podcast. So excited to be here. We have another special guest. Welcome, Jeannette Levitt. Yeah, hi.
I know.
I know. We're so excited to have you. I'll do a brief bio and then we'll dig into this really exciting topic. So Jeannette lives outside Chicago, Illinois, and she's the mom of 4 adult children. Wow. She's certified coach through this Naked Mind Institute, and Jeannette specializes in helping midlife women who are struggling, as she once did. So at the intersection of what she calls the 3 Ds: drinking, divorce, and dating. I can really relate. Can't wait to get into this. Yeah. So Jeannette understands this world intimately and how disoriented and fraught it can be. She also knows the beauty of life on the other side, where alcohol is irrelevant. Post-divorce, family life, and co-parenting is healthy and positive. And there's a new love. So Jeannette feels privileged to support women in breaking free from alcohol's grip while navigating midlife challenges with confidence. So welcome, Jeannette. So excited to dig into drinking, divorce, dating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Ladies.
please introduce yourself more and provide just a bit of background to your alcohol-free journey. Yeah. We'd love to hear a little bit
It
about
was
it.
great to see. Yeah, it's so good to see you guys. I loved getting to meet you in person. What was that, last spring, I guess? So getting to see
year
you
ago.
again is awesome. I know, that's crazy. That's crazy. So my niche, as you kind of described, is around drinking and dating and divorce. And that's because that was my story. That's when alcohol became a thing for me. I wasn't really much of a drinker, maybe a little bit in my 20s. And then I got married and started a family in my early 30s, and just drinking was not a thing for me. But then I had a really difficult event, which was a divorce in my late 40s. And that was a surprise, and it was really devastating and just really hard for everyone all around. And that's when I kind of started to turn to alcohol. And I guess it is really a perfect storm because, the divorce and dating world coming together. And so you've got all this mix of like really difficult emotions, but you find yourself, in a different, there are times when you don't have your kids. So now you're socializing differently. You launch out into the dating world, adding a whole new twist. And I found myself both using it to cope with the difficulty of the divorce and all the emotions and, just hard stuff around that. And then launching out into the dating world. It was what people were doing. So it was just, that was my story. And it gradually got worse, and found myself binge drinking a lot. Until I discovered this Naked Mind. So.
Yeah, I hear this a lot from clients. Divorce is the accelerator event we talk about, or the thing. But then when you add, you're so true. When you add dating, it's like, what do you do when you go out dating? You meet at a bar oftentimes, or you go out to dinner and you're drinking because you're nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Totally relate.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about meeting for drinks. That's what most people's first thought is. Let's meet for drinks.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember being in my car and actually having a little bit of a tantrum where I'm like, how am I, because I've been single for a really long, but how am I going to date without drinks? Like I couldn't even fathom it. And I was like, I remember being so angry. Like, what? That means I'm just going to be alone forever. My brain went there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're not alone. I mean, that's what so many people fear. Me too. I mean, I was really scared that it just was not going to work out. I mean, we all have so many beliefs around that you just can't be in the dating world if you're not drinking. And that's what it's all about. And people, we just in our minds think that men are going to think we're an alcoholic or we're no fun or we're not sexy. We're not whatever. All of these things that it must mean about us. So, but it does not have to be that way for sure.
Yeah.
And half of the time I was drinking, well, I've been alcohol free for 3 years now, 3+. And so, thank you. So, but for a long time, I was dating in the dating world, in and out. I mean, in some long-term relationships or longish term relationships, and in between would have some time single, but was in and out of the dating world. And I've done it both, alcohol fueled and alcohol free. And I can tell you definitively, alcohol free is so much better, despite all my fears about it. So yeah, it's so doable.
Well, what's the difference?
Yeah.
Like, what advice would you give someone trying to change their relationship with alcohol and having that fear? Like, how is it different?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think one of the things that people can do that makes it a little bit easier is if you're, for dry January, you've got this thing that you can say, I'm doing a dry January. And it's just, I mean, so many people are dabbling with that, taking breaks. So I think, having that as, I don't want to say a crutch, but something that, sort of explains it. And I mean, I think it is easier these days because there is a movement and people understand that it's not just an all or nothing, a black and white thing where you're either an alcoholic or you're a normal drinker. And there's this gray area. So it does not have to mean something, about you that you are automatically an alcoholic. Not that there's, and we're not even using that term, but, wherever you are on the spectrum, I just think it's a little bit easier to be not drinking in the dating world these days than it may have been in the past, because there is a little bit of a movement. But
yeah. And you mentioned that it's definitively better alcohol free. Like give me some examples, or what's the difference? Mm-hmm.
Well, just, I mean, you're clear, you're engaged, you're present as you meet people. And so that just in and of itself is just so much better. And I think you make better decisions. You are, you weed out people that aren't right for you better. I was kind of on autopilot a little bit when I was drinking. I wasn't being thoughtful enough or intentional enough about who I was meeting. And so I don't know, I just think it puts you in a better space. I know I'm going to tell you a little story.
I love a story. Oh, I was going to tell you a story too. You go first and then I'll tell you my story.
So 3 years ago when I never necessarily thought that I was leaving alcohol behind, although I'm so excited that I have. I mean, I kept wanting to be a better, normal, quote unquote, drinker or moderate drinker. But I was doing a dry January and I did the live alcohol experiment in January 22. And I actually had a first date with somebody on January 2nd. So I had just started this 30-day no alcohol. And we went out to dinner. He ordered a glass of wine. I ordered a sparkling water or something. And he said, "Oh, you're not drinking?" I said, "Yeah, I'm doing a dry January." And he said, "Oh, then take back. I don't need my wine. I don't need to drink." And we ended up dating for 6 months, and it was a wonderful relationship. But it did ultimately end. It had nothing to do with alcohol. But I just think, it kind of showed me that like I could do this. And there were men who were totally fine with me not drinking. It turned out he was a drinker, and actually he drank, I think, most days, but 1 or 2 drinks, but he was happy to drink less. He was happy that I didn't drink. And I actually found the men that I've dated a few men since then in these last 3 years, and all of them have drank, but not heavily. That's what I was attracting, because I was more intentional about who I was looking for. I was more intentional about what I was putting out there for my own vibe and my own, dating profile, because I was doing online dating apps, and I just found that it was not that hard to attract men who were just light, take it or leave it drinkers, and were absolutely perfectly fine with somebody who didn't drink.
Yeah. It's difficult.
So what was your story, Ruby?
Oh, well, just just that when I think back to when I was drinking more heavily and dating, I wasn't making good decisions, just like you were saying. I remember like going out on dates, ordering alcohol. You might even have 2 or 3. And I would connect with them, or I thought I was connecting with them, but I wasn't my authentic true self. And then all of a sudden I'm dating them. We're like dating, and I find out later that we're literally not compatible. It's not the right person. But I think that alcohol fueled this kind of like sense of, well, we got a lot in common, or we had such a good time, but it wasn't true. Like it wasn't true. And yes, I think dating alcohol free is so much better. And I do the opposite of what I go on dating apps, and then I will put I'm alcohol free, that I'm in. You know how you can check off like who you're looking for? I say, non-smoking and no alcohol. But I don't think the other guys are looking at the actual, they don't look, they just look at the picture. I swear to you.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like alcohol free, and I'm looking for someone alcohol free. And the reason why I made that decision is because I think about, I just don't want someone that's not authentic. I feel like I'm so much more present and authentic alcohol free that I want that in my partner. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
no, I think that's great. Well, you bring up, I mean, right there, your clarity around it is so great. Like that you're clear about what you want and need, and you're intentional. I mean, that's so great when you're out there in the dating world. I was going to say, I was just going to relate to one of your stories, Ruby, about dating somebody and drinking all the time. I mean, I had a 6-month relationship where I thought we were, pretty connected, and I was enjoying it and having a fun relationship. And I looked back and I realized, I think we drank every single time we were together.
Yeah.
And I think, what kind of a relationship is that? And, and it wasn't his fault. It was our, together, we both drank too much. And but that was one of my experiences back then. Yeah.
And it's so common. So many clients that are married even say they have their whole relationship, they were drinking, they started, they dated, drank, got married, drank, and it's, you actually change your personality. Don't you think, Jeannette?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When you're drinking?
Definitely. Yes. No, I totally agree. Yeah. You're just not, you're different. It's different. And I think so many of us are scared to let it go because that's what we know. And we don't know how good it feels to be really clear and present, and how that's like, I'd rather be lit up that way than by booze, So just, anyway.
Yeah. That's what we think. That's what we call
the
podcast, the Feel Lit podcast, is we like being lit. And I can relate, when my husband and I met, we didn't drink initially. That wasn't like the, how we connected. But as our marriage progressed and, both of us having stressors, et cetera, we did, that was a way we connected. And so that was a big thing when I stopped drinking, is to figure out a way to still connect. And I find that, like Ruby said, a lot of times when we have clients, that is a big deal in their marriage, when one of them shifts their relationship with alcohol and how that affects the marriage.
Well, it's so interesting with the dating apps. Like when I'm looking, right? So there's guys looking at me, and then I'm looking at them. And do you know how many photos where they are holding a beer or wine or a cocktail? And I literally, that's when, they might say in their profile, what is the phrase? It's like a moderate drinker, or no, it's a social drinker. There's like these funny little social drinker, I think. But then if the pictures all have alcohol, I'm like, no, thank you. Right. So honestly, I'm the best version of myself, and I want to date someone who's the best version of themselves. So I'll just swipe whatever that the wrong way is. The no, I think it's left is no, right? Whatever.
Yeah. No, that's funny. I mean, the pictures that you're bringing up is, I mean, that's key when you're looking online, is to be watching for those. Cause I think you can tell a lot if, I know on Bumble is, I think, the most popular dating app right now for at least middle-aged women. And I think they give you slots for 5 or 6 photos. And if every photo they have a drink in them, or every photo they're in a bar, that might tell you something about them. Now, maybe it's just
Exactly.
all the photos they had. Maybe they just don't take pictures when they're out hiking. But, I think pay attention to those things. If that's what, and especially if they've said, hopefully they've not said that they're a non-drinker, but that's obviously a red flag if they've said that they don't drink, but then they have pictures holding a beer. Although it could be an NA beer. So, but anyway, I do advise people to kind of pay attention to that and, be aware of what, or their interests. If they're writing their interests is going to wineries and breweries, that says something,
That does. Yeah.
So.
And it's a little, so I'm probably like, if the dating world for me is 100 people, if I eliminate alcohol, it feels like it's about 10. It's like but you know what? That 10% is the people that are going to be my people. So it's worth it to me. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And it's great to know that, like, just know, have an abundance mentality, as we say, like, because you really are, you're going to hone in, but it's going to be, you are going to eliminate a lot of people in saying you want a non-drinker, but that's good. That's what you want. And then, so the group of people that you get are so much more likely to be,
exactly,
a match, obviously there's lots of other things to consider, but
yeah. So now what I do is say, let's go out for coffee instead of drinks, right? Yeah. I'd say, let's go out for coffee for a first date. Or what do you do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think coffee in general. Well, first of all, I almost always have a video call first. I don't just meet them. I think it's just, I think I always advise a video call first. I've regretted it.
I'm learning now. I usually meet for coffee and then I'm like, oh, we already met for coffee. That takes a whole hour. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it really helps. I mean, you can find out quite a bit just like having a 20-minute chat, Okay. There's been a number of times where I thought on paper, looking at their profile, that they might be a decent match, and I could tell very quickly in a phone call. Mm-hmm. So I think that's good, especially if you live, sometimes for me, if it's a person right in my city, that's not a big deal. And so, meet for coffee, whatever, if you feel very confident and feel like doing that. But I think most of the time, I remember I had a date with this is years ago, and like 15 minutes into it, he told me that he was polyamorous. I thought, dude, you couldn't have told me that before. Like, wasted my time. Anyway, I would have found that out had I had a call with him. I think he hopefully would have told me. So anyway, but let's see, where were we going with that? Yeah, coffee, just a walk. But I think keeping it casual on the first, just meeting for, something where you can chat and talk. It's harder when it's winter and it's cold out, but I think a morning, and it's just like meeting in the morning or early afternoon or something is just a more casual kind of vibe. Yeah. So it also makes you less nervous. I think meeting, if you're meeting for a full on dinner with somebody you've never sat down with, that can be a little bit nerve wracking. Mm-hmm. And,
and I put on my profile that I'm, excuse me, alcohol free if they read it, and that I'm looking for someone alcohol free if they read it. So sometimes I'm already having coffee with them, and then they're talking about going to wine tasting and drinking and bars, and I'm just like, did you read my profile?
Read,
yeah, they don't read a lot. But what oh my God, I have a funny story. Somebody saw that I was This Naked Mind coach and the word naked. So then he started doing all these jokes about being naked. And so I was just I was just okay, that's just the name of the coaching certification. And then he's like, I have to tell you, I'm a nudist. Just like the polyamory. I'm like, what? It's crazy out there. Dating world.
I know, it's a wild world, Ruby. Yeah. Well, it's funny. So you must be on different apps. I'm only on, now I'm not even doing one because I'm in a relationship now. And, it's new. It's not, I think when I wrote the bio that you read, I was in a long-term relationship, which actually, broke up. He broke up with me the day before my 60th birthday. Anyway, we won't go into that. Yeah. So that was a sad day. But anyway, everything was fine. Yeah. So I'm on, well, I was just going down a different path. I was saying that have newly started dating. So had to break up a few months ago, have newly started dating somebody who I really like and all that. But Bumble does not ask you what you're looking for. It just, you fill out what your status is. And it has a question about, do you drink? And the options are, it's interesting. The options are yes, sometimes, rarely, no, and sober. So I would say, so I think when they check yes, that may be an indication that, they're a fairly regular drinker, or drinker is a part of their life, because they also had the option of saying sometimes or rarely. And no and sober. And I check no. I don't check sober. So anyway, but that's just food for thought. I mean, a lot of men do fill it out very quickly and not very carefully. And so maybe they just say, they see yes and no and these other options, and they just go, yes, I drink, blah, blah, right. But even that, I think, is a sign. Right. For me, I like somebody who I think put thought into it. I actually when I see a profile that I can tell was done very hastily with little thought, I'm usually left.
Swipe left. I started doing Facebook dating. It's just part of Facebook. And what's interesting about that is you can see friends of friends, right? So you somebody pops up and then you're like, oh, they're friends with Mary and Sue. And you're like, oh, well, I could reach out to Mary or Sue and ask them. No, it's
fun.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. That is interesting. Yeah. So. I actually found the man that I'm dating now dated for a year and a half. When I saw his Facebook, he was Facebook friends with somebody that I know. And it turned out because they were in a relationship for a year and a half. So I thought anyway, I just thought that was interesting. It was a great sign because I really like this woman. So that actually was sort of validation about, and he did talk to me about the relationship and why it ended and things, but I've never done the Facebook, dating. And when you were talking about your other app, was that Match or Ruby, or what have you?
Oh my gosh.
What have you done besides?
I've been single. I divorced 26 years ago. So I've tried Silver Singles, Match, Bumble, Plenty of Fishes at one point. What are some of the eHarmony?
Yeah. Oh, there's Hinge. There's a lot.
I've not done Hinge or Tinder yet. But Bumble, what I liked about Bumble for the women out there, I know we have a lot of women listeners, is the women have the power with Bumble.
Yeah.
So if you're a single woman listening and you want to date, Bumble's really easy to use, and you get to have the power to say yes or no, which I like.
Right. Right. You have to initiate the conversation. Yeah. Men cannot initiate the conversation. So it is a good model. Yeah. I like, and that's why that's the one that I've used pretty much. When I first was in the dating world, I used Match mostly, and then kind of found Bumble and also Hinge. I used Hinge a little bit here and there, but, I mean, I have found Bumble it's kind of easy, but it's thorough enough and you get enough information. And I like that you have to reach out to them. Yeah. And they also put time frames on things too, which is nice. You have to do it your match expires after a day. Mm-hmm. So if you match with them, you've both said yes, and you match, you can't just sit on it. And I like that. And they can't just, is that true? I think they can't. Well, maybe that's not true. Maybe they have more time to respond, but anyway,
I think
I like the model too.
So you're going out on a date, alcohol free. Will you give our listeners more tips, or since we can both think of some tips like how to navigate and still have a great time? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think, well, first of all, go into it knowing that your fears might be wrong, that actually might be good, that, so try to put aside your skepticism and this is going to be awful. So try to go into it that way. I think have a game plan for how you want to talk about it. If it comes up, I mean, if you're meeting for a coffee date, it doesn't have to come up at all, like on your first date. I mean, there's no reason why it needs to, if it does, but so if it does, if they say, oh, I noticed you don't drink, is that, have you been a non-drinker for long, whatever. So just know how you want to talk about it. And I think for me, I was I didn't necessarily go into a lot of detail, and just kind of quick and easy, non-defensive, I mean, definitely just keeping it out of the realm of bars and things, I think in the beginning is good. Know what you want to, I mean, if and when you are in a restaurant or a bar, kind of knowing what you want to order is a good thing to do too. I mean, it depends on how solid you are in your alcohol freedom journey. If it's really new and you are worried about, that you might just drink to try to fit in, that's when it's really good to have kind of settled into your decision beforehand. And that's why planning out and kind of knowing what you're going to drink or knowing how you're going to talk about it is really helpful.
Because we always say a maybe,
stay on track.
Yes. If you go
exactly
to your first date and go, well, let me see how it goes. Maybe I'll drink. If he drinks, I'll drink. Yes. Right. Pre-planning is such a good idea, Jeannette. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, you're not drinking, and kind of get into that space with yourself before you head out the door. So.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So do you feel like somebody who is in the early days of changing their relationship with alcohol should still date, or do you think they should sort of wait? Or, I know in the AA model, they say, don't do anything for a year, no relationships, no, don't change your job, and so I wonder, though, it sounds like you had a date on your second day.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I think it depends where you are in your relationship with alcohol. I think if it's a really difficult problem for you and you're really struggling and you're just not in a healthy place at all. And I think that goes with anything in life. Like if you're also just in a bad place in general, whether it's in your relationship with alcohol or whatever, maybe I think getting to a better place is helpful first. So yes, with yourself before you embark, because you want to put your best foot forward. And I think you don't have to be, no one's ever in a perfect place in their life. Is everything always, that's pretty rare. So no, I think you can, I was certainly a gray area drinker. It was a problem. I was drinking too much, but I was aware of it and kind of working towards heading down a different path. And so, no, I think you can. I think the secret is just being intentional and thoughtful and kind of having a game plan, having a support network, a tribe, not necessarily going it alone completely. And so just start to dig into that identity and start thinking of yourself differently. But yes, so you can do it. I just think if it's a really big problem in your life, start to make some changes first. And then when you're feeling a little bit more solid, then that might be the time.
And I like to say you can just go into the dating world and say you're making new friends. Just start like that. Just making new friends and then see if that love spark happens. But sometimes you're dating and you're just like, oh, this guy's like a new friend. And then it can turn into a love interest or right off the bat. Like I remember you're saying, within on your video call, within minutes, you said, if this is the right fit or not.
Yeah. Right. It's just I think there's so much overlap between the alcohol journey, the dating journey. Like we don't have to put this forever mentality on it. We don't, it's not helpful to be, put that pressure on ourselves and on this, this journey that we're on. So you don't have to, you have a first date thinking, is this going to be my man forever, my person, my whatever, forever.
Should I plan the wedding?
You don't. And then, yeah, exactly. You don't have to do that. And the same for, alcohol freedom. You don't, when I started down my 30-day that turned into, 3 years, I wasn't necessarily thinking of forever, but I knew this is where I wanted to kind of start taking some steps in this direction. And so, yeah, you don't You don't
I
have to
love
plan
that.
the wedding.
Same
Yeah.
with a job, and I hear this a lot too. Same with a job. It doesn't have to be forever. It could be,
Right.
it could be a job that's just for now. I love this. I love that you're putting that in all these different areas. So cool. Jeannette, this has been such a great
Rudy.
conversation around dating. I've been having so much fun.
Yeah, I love it. It's a good subject.
Yeah, it really is. So this is a point in our podcast where we ask our guests, what do you do to feel lit, alcohol free? What do you do in your life that gives you joy,
There's a lot. I think so much opened up when I became alcohol free. I mean, obviously I love the coaching and just being part of this movement, helping people break free. And also, I started writing. I'm working on a memoir. I'm taking a lot of writing classes. I'm out there with my dogs every day for a couple of hours, taking them on walks. I volunteer a lot. So there's all kinds of things that I do. But I think at the same time, when I think of feeling lit, I feel lit. I know this is going to sound really goody two shoes Pollyanna, but I feel lit all the time in a way. And it doesn't mean I have bad days and I can be grouchy and sad and whatever. But I think getting rid of alcohol is what's really helped me to just feel lit in general and know that even when I have crappy days, even when I'm in a darker place, I'm going to come through it, and I think because I've learned how to feel things and that these things aren't dangerous. And the feelings that I can process stuff, I don't know. And that's why being alcohol free is so great. And I know you guys feel the same way. That just you feel lit even when you feel crappy, because it's all going to be okay.
Well, we used to feel crappy and have a hangover.
Yes. No, I know. And then feel crappier. Yes.
And feel crappier. So even when we feel crappy, at least there's not a hangover attached to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the emotional work that we do during our journey helps us realize that we know how to regulate our emotions. We know, that it's okay to feel sad and that this will pass and the joy is on the other side versus grabbing a drink to just drown the sadness or drown the anger or whatever the negative feeling is that. Yeah. And it lasts longer when we do that because we're just pushing it down versus just being able to feel our feelings, the emotional sobriety that, we talk about. Yeah. So that's so good.
Exactly.
I love that you say you feel lit all the time.
I love it too.
Well, it's probably obnoxious to say, but because I obviously have bad days.
But even your bad days are lit.
But it's even my bad days. I just, you have this deep knowing and faith that things are okay and you can get through hard emotions and feelings and you want to, I'm okay feeling them, so
yeah,
that's beautiful.
Beautiful.
So beautiful.
Jeannette, this has been so fun and thank you so much for coming on our podcast. Susan and I thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's great.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Feel Lit Alcohol Free Podcast. Do you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show?
All you need to do is head over to Apple Podcasts and do two simple things. Leave a rating and review telling us what you think of the show. And in that review, ask us any questions you have about breaking free from wine or living an alcohol-free lifestyle. That's it. Then tune in to hear your question answered live. And remember, do something today that will help you feel lit.